Hello, this is the next video. We've talked about our proposed way forward. We've talked about the problems we're trying to solve, the strategic imperatives, etc. We've gone through architectural options, monoliths through to the future of applications, which are composable applications, composable services with cloud native based developed applications and systems. And we've also gone through, and I'll just jump to the slides, we've also gone through as part of that learning the fact that the reality is that there will be a requirement for the next 4, 5, even 10 years, a parallel working with legacy applications slowly migrating into the more composable world. So what is our proposed way forwards for BCU? What are we proposing to do, and what's our ask in terms of money to do this? Well, first of all, as you might expect, our high-level architectural view very similar and parallels with that, isn't there? So, and also really important for us, of course, is the crossovers and linkages with DHCW thinking and their architectural thinking and thoughts. So first of all, what you see on this diagram is the legacy-based applications at the bottom there, the application layer. Obviously, silo-based applications there, and also silo-based data in proprietary or different types of format, which need to be connected with through fire proxies or whichever method that we would talk about through an integration layer into what we're calling our BCU data layer, really, or I guess what Gartner would call in both the open API architecture or infrastructure here, what as well as that, which means we can pull data real time for transactional applications and third-party applications which might need to use that, maybe for direct care or for patients themselves. There's also a pull or an extraction into a data layer which would potentially be used for other purposes such as analytics, research, and that type of thing. The recommendation is that we look to work with partners. This has been done in other places to develop that integration infrastructure. It will enable point-to-point integrations. There we have links to our master patient index, the linkages to national repositories there potentially, and the like. We would be looking to host and persist data for various purposes as appropriate. We would be looking to do that clearly in the cloud, and our expectation might be that as well as our data repositories, BCU data repositories, they might actually be physically located, maybe even managed as part of the national data repository. So our data repository part of that, those services that are provided nationally by Google at the minute. Not sure of the procurement situation, but long and short of it, whether or not our cloud platform is Google, Amazon Web Services, Azure, or whatever, the fact of the matter is we would have both the persistent data on one of those platforms with the tools and all that are around it. We want to maximize and reuse and not reinvent the wheel, that which has already been done. But the integration layer is the key thing and the important thing in terms of how this all works. We then get into the world when there are new requirements and we need to build new units of capability, clinical functionality, for instance, orchestration workflow, single point of access in terms of portal, etc. We would be expecting that they would be developed in a cloud native way, and therefore be sets of services which can be composed or pulled together to deliver different results and potentially individualized capabilities or individualized service for particular clinicians, patients, or whatever. And we expect that although it will be challenging, if possible, we might have providers and consumer-based legacy applications, which are those at the bottom. Appreciate we're still buying legacy, so that EPMA system is going to be legacy, WNCR legacy. We're still developing some legacy stuff, so we need to think about the fact that that's more complex integration. So we will be making sure that we've got those integrations properly managed and supported. So in a nutshell, that's a high level view, our architectural view, which would we think have significant crossovers with the thinking of DHCW. The difference is, of course, we're starting to develop our new capabilities in our new environment to fix our problems, the problems that we have got in a componentized way. We've got a high level program timescales and deliverables. So we've got units of work set out for components we could build. We have spoken to a couple of software engineering companies around what it would take to do this type of thing. We think that the reality of only doing a certain number of units of work in terms of the necessary change that's available, that's necessary, and the development effort and all that. We just come up with some lists there, working with some of our clinicians. They don't have to be in that order or that list. There are some foundational issues required, but as you can see there, there's potentially some 8 units of work to be built in a year, which we think we would do iteratively, and we will get benefits as we go, and they will become products which are then continually developed and supported going forward. And there's year 1, year 2, really for the entirety of a full equivalent to a full EPR type functionality. We would be thinking that's a 4-year program really to do that. But we think that will still be cheaper and better value for money, albeit there's more risk than buying a monolith. So how would we do that? Well, we would look to go to market and procure a mix of partners, as well as recruit a core BCU team. We have got a bid in to our annual plan for the transformation of the informatics department into a new DDAP function and various roles that we need to recruit to. Client side, really important that we do that, appreciating the challenges associated with that. But we recognise we need to go to market for a mix of partners. They're more modern partners, cloud native development partners, not the usual healthcare lot. So we would be looking at a software engineering integration partner with cloud native and platform based development expertise. We would be looking at data architecture consultancy partner with due regards to the data models, definitions, data flows. This needs to be a data-led type program, and with due regard to the value of data, both now and in the future, and therefore how we ensure that there is rigor around that and data governance is right, and so on and so forth. So some complexity there that needs to be sorted out. And we would also look to partner with a service and user experience design partner. Really important that we have got a user-led design approach. And as you can see there, the yin and the yangs, we would be expecting our CCO and clinical change team, for instance, to be working hand in hand with our partners, but all of those yin and yangs will be part of an overall multidisciplinary team working on each of those units together. We're talking, this is the core. We would expect unit by unit there'd be different people coming together for that. But in essence, we're looking at a core which is built up of this number of resources. The ambers are possible contractors. They could be internal. The greens are internal folk. So in some cases, internal folk that need to be recruited to. The reds are partners. and their indicative costs, of course. So as you can see there, there's some clinical and service redesign resources required, and that's estimates there, of course. There's, based on the units that we've laid out, that's the developers and technical functions, what's required to deliver those units. You'll see the low numbers. That's because we're going to be using a decent software engineering company and capabilities. There's also some core functions, which is key: data architect, data analyst, functional tester, clinical leads, of course, IG lead, security, all of that stuff as you'd expect. There is a cost to that, of course, 2.3 million quid, and that's without the internal cost, which is part of the informatics to do that transformation bid. But this is a rolling team and a rolling program, which gives us the value that we're after delivering these particular units. And of course, still a lower cost than the legacy application teams that we've probably got in place. So program summary there, in terms of the approach that we would take. Clearly more of a service design and agile approach to these developments, and that's well, there it is for your perusal. I've already said most of that stuff. Right, just going to pause there for any further discussions or whatever. That's our proposal. We want £2.3 million for external spend, which is our estimate, to start developing per annum, to start developing within 4 years a cloud native electronic patient record service, which addresses all of the problems, the majority of the problems we talked about, and obviously get rid of or address many of the issues of the legacy applications we've got, recognizing we'll still have to maintain and keep a lot of legacy because of the functionality that provides. Okay, thank you for listening, and we'll move to the next video, which is about risks and issues.